I watched 4 episodes now. And after seeing comments in the very first episode, like, I'm not in great shape. After one exercise, it just leads them to the introduction of the show. Somebody saying, well, it can't be much harder than that swim we just did. I'm just thinking this. Whoever their agents are, whoever signed them up for the show, whoever said, put your name on this dotted line, it'll be fine, you should probably fire them.
I watched the world float to the dark side of the moon. After all, I knew it had to be something to do with you. I really don't mind what happens now and then, as long as you'll be my friend at the end. If I go crazy, then
what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, JLW, and I want to thank you all so much for joining me for Stand On Business episode 42. Yeah. Today we're talking about something completely different, a little bit more fun, a little bit more lighthearted, but still just as interesting. At least I hope you think so. This is going to be about Special Forces World's Toughest Test, if you hadn't guessed. Speaking of the cast members, let's go through all the names that are on Season 3 of Special Forces World's Toughest Test. You've got Stephen Baldwin, who apparently is the youngest of the Baldwin brothers. He's joining this course at 58, which again just made my head go like, nobody's taking this serious. This man is 58 years old and thinking he is going to take the test. We've also got Ali Fadowski Mano. Apparently she's a former contestant on The Bachelor and a former star of The Bachelorette. Okay. Denise Richards, huge crush for a lot of people growing up. Trista Sutter, again, no idea who the hell this is, but apparently she's the very first Bachelorette. Jordan Weber, she's an Olympic gold medal winning gymnast. Marion Jones, who apparently was also an Olympic athlete, one of the best Olympic athletes, which I guess is kind of a misnomer, right? If you're an Olympic athlete, you got to be one of the best. But anyway, she's on there. Nathan Adrian, who I'm no idea who the hell he is. 8-time Olympic winning swimmer. Okay, big name. Landon Donovan is a former professional soccer player. Moving on, Alana Blanchard, who's a professional surfer and I think model as well, or did I just make that up? Did I just put that on her jacket? Carrie Hart. It's important that you get the name right because his introduction is literally him telling the DS, which is what they call the cadre that are running the selection program. They asked him what his name is. He said it's Carrie. He said, that's a girl's name. Bah! Push his ass right into the ocean. In case you were wondering, he's also married to superstar Pink. Now that's an A-list star. You told me Pink is on the show and it's like, okay, you ain't gotta market anybody else. Pink is on the show. Then you got Brody Jenner, who is more known for his name than I think anything he actually does, but apparently he's really big in LA for being a DJ and a producer. But I think the selling point, which they seem to repeat throughout the 4 episodes, is this is Bruce Jenner's son. Actually, more than them saying it's Bruce Jenner's son, this guy's related to the Kardashians, y'all. Cam Newton, which to me this season is the biggest personality, the one that I'd put on the face of everything, just because as soon as he shows up, the cadre is like, look at that behemoth. You got Special Forces dudes that are like, did you see that fucking guy? Kayla Nicole, who seems to be an influencer, but her big claim to fame that they talk about throughout the 4 episodes is that she was the former girlfriend of Travis Kelce. Then you have Kyla Pratt, which again, this is like at least, if not 2, then 3 for me in terms of people that I'm marketing this show around, because you got the voice of the Proud family. Every kid, again, who grew up around my age knows Kyla Pratt, not just from the Proud family, but as you see here, Dr. Dolittle movies. She was also on One-on-One, which was a really good TV show back in the day. What was that, on CW? Or was it CW or WB? 2 and 3 spotting for me right now. Christy Carlson Romano, Even Stevens. I even forgot. Outside of Cadet Kelly, which if you haven't seen the movie, as an adult, maybe it's not that good, but as a kid, it was a great movie. Voice of Kim Possible, bro. Yo, call me, beat me.
Oh, yeah. I'm your basic average girl.
And then we got Golden Tate, former wide receiver for Seattle. If you know, you know. And those are your contestants for this season. If you don't know, because you haven't been with the channel for a minute, you're just meeting me for the first time, I did 5 years. 5 years in the United States Army from 2013 to 2018. And I'm only bringing this up because certain celebrities have come out afterwards and said like, oh, now I have a taste of what it's like to be in the military, or I have an idea of what those individuals go through. Most people who go into the military, especially one of the branches that are not the Marines, do not go through what these contestants go through. Not that the people who join up wouldn't have done them, but you don't necessarily have to be the most physically fit or imagine the most craziest, outlandish activity waiting for you when you join up the military. I think most people know that. So when people come out of that and they go, now I have an idea of what a U.S. soldier has gone through. Most U.S. soldiers have not gone through that, I'm telling you right now. Now, Special Forces, whole different ball game. But even then you go, no, I still don't think you have a taste of what they go through, because again, this course is 10 days. You're talking about courses that are usually months, years in length of training. And at the end of the day, these individuals can do something that somebody in the regular I'm going to just go off of the Army, right? Because that's my experience. The regular Army can't do and Special Forces community can't do, which is quit at any point. One of these, oh, that's not true. Hold on. Let me back that up just a little bit. Regular Army, when you're going through, you can't just quit. It don't work like that. In fact, they tell you pretty early on in the process, the fastest way out of here is to graduate. If you were to sign up for a class or a school to go to Special Forces, you can also quit. In fact, they expect you to quit. In fact, part of their job is to make you quit. You see some of the statistics out there for certain schools, and I'm not going to just throw out what school because I don't know off the top of my head. Certain schools have over a 50% fail rate. Certain schools got something like an 80% fail rate. Goodbye. And that's what is expected to happen. And you can go and watch some of these Special Forces shows that look at real recruits going through it, like Surviving the Cut. Over half of them do not end up making it all the way through the program because it's intense. It's longer than 10 days. And you know what's crazy is it's not the physical. And this is something else to go for just regular Army as well. It's not the physical that'll break you down. It's the mental. Scenario on the show is the cadre come on their own speedboat and they throw in, I almost said flashbangs. That would be messed up. No, they're throwing smoke grenades, right? And I'm sure they took some of the gas out of them, but they're throwing smoke grenades onto the boat of the celebrities and telling them, get down. They're loud, they're aggressive, they're scaring the celebrities. It's probably for a lot of them the first time that they've been yelled at in this manner. And so they're all freaking out and they're getting down on the ground. And then the cadre's getting on the boat and then one by one standing them up, asking them to tell them, who are you? Who are you in the real world? Cadre, how would I know you? As soon as they say who they are, and then the cadre says his smart ass remark, like for instance, one person says that I'm Stephen Baldwin. Let's go with that. And then the cadre is like, oh, you have a brother that acts. And the Steven, yeah, except he's actually good. Yank, thrown ass into the water. I should probably mention this takes place in Wales because apparently this is where British Special Forces do their training at, which is a really cool tidbit. It doesn't sound that bad hearing it in the comfort of your home right now. Just like when you watch this show and some of the things that they have to do on the screen, like jumping onto a helicopter, it doesn't seem that bad. You're thinking to yourself, oh, I could do that. No, I would be just fine. No, you won't. Fundamentally, they have to break you down to nothing, right? They have to break you down so far that you are willing to be reprogrammed. And I know some people are kind of get a little wary with that word, because it's scary, man. It's like, oh, we're dehumanizing people or we're making people robots. No, again, it's about stripping you of what the regular world has given you so that I can build you back up and give you the skills and the tools to survive in this new world that you've entered into. And if you can't accept that, then we need to go ahead and weed you the hell out because you don't want to get yourself killed, and more importantly, you don't want to be responsible for getting other people killed. And just like us, they got welcome to the world. Hey, over the next 10 days, we're gonna be your, I think they call them staff. Yeah, they tell them to address them as staff. From here on out, you're a number, and they give them an armband. Everybody gets an armband on the arm, right? And that, for the rest of the show, is what they're referred to. So Cam Newton, I think, is 16. You hear his number a lot. And then, from there, they have to strip down from the civilian clothes and get into whatever their training clothes are going to be. Again, another mental game to remove the outside world, get ready for this new world, and then they're off on a run. Now, the show does a lot of editing, a lot of cutting away from things. So, like, to me, it moves really fast. You don't get a good sense of the bonds that are being built between the celebrities. You don't get a good sense of how long it takes to get from point A to point B, which makes sense. It's a show and it's got to fit into a certain time span. So you're not going to see a lot of not the juicy bits, but the meaty parts, the parts that are important that show just how strenuous this is, but they end up running to a new location. If I'm putting together a Special Forces show and I've got a bunch of people who I believe probably have had a silver spoon for a long time or come from a place of privilege, how can I quickly show them that this isn't just your regular show? This isn't when the camera's cut. You get to go lounge in your trailer and shoot the shit. No, we're for real here. Oh, the best way, a helicopter jump. Let me show you that not only are you gonna do some physically demanding things, some outlandish things, but you could possibly get hurt. So I hope you're taking this seriously.
Let's go! Let's go!
These individuals jump from a speedboat onto a helicopter, and you can tell right afterwards that they're like, what the f is this? Which is, again, why I'm like, yo, some of y'all need to go talk to your manager because they got your ass. So after they do the whole jumping into the helicopter thing, they get in these Jeeps that transport them all around the island and whatnot, and they get to go back to, I don't know what they call it, the compound or the base, but where they'll be staying for the next 10 days. And it is as drab as you can imagine. It looks like an old busted up cabin, or not cabin, but castle that's been shot to hell by mortars. We had something like a 60% fail rate. We're not going to allow this. Everybody's going to pay, which is, again, going back to a theme that I can relate to. Those days in basic is all about team and camaraderie, and no one person is better or bigger than the rest. And if one fails, we all fail. So if one person mess up, you're doing push-ups. In the beginning, it's like one person mess up, the entire platoon or your entire group is doing push-ups. But eventually they whittle it down to your battle buddy, which is the person that you've got to go any and everywhere with. If you get found without having a battle buddy beside you, your day is about to be ruined, and everybody else's day is about to be ruined because y'all gonna be doing runs, push-ups, bear crawls, duck walks, crouches. One of our drill sergeant's favorite thing to do was, once you got your weapons, he would line you up. You know, we can even show you. Put your butt against this wall like this, and you would crouch down, and then you would have to stick your arms out, and you would just sit here. I'm not sitting on a chair right now. I'm floating in the air. I'm using just my quads, and already this is burning. Already this hurts. I'm so out of shape. I don't even know if I can hold this much longer. But you would just sit here for minutes. That felt like hours. And originally, you don't have your weapons, right? So you would just keep your arms out just like this. Keep it up. Keep it straight. Then you get your M4. M4, just like this. This is terribly painful. And I promise you it will break you. Go ahead and try it right now in your home. Just put your ass against the wall and crouch and just try to hold it. See how long you can go. Some people, that mental screaming is going to start kicking off, and you're just going to be like, I can't, I don't want to, I'm getting up, I'll never join the military. That's the ish, the physical and the mental that you got to overcome. And eventually you will. So at the end of that episode, so everybody has to get in this pool that I think is supposed to simulate the ocean. It's an enclosed pool, right? One of the cadres in the middle, he's got a little floaty device. And then everybody else has to come in, tread water with them. Again, the show does a lot of cutting, so you don't get a good feeling for like how things are progressing and how long they're doing it. But at some point, I think they put a little clock at the bottom, and they've been treading water for like 14 minutes. I don't know how great a swimmer you are. I'm not a great one. Longest I've treaded water is probably like 5 minutes. 14 minutes is tiring, because I know 5 minutes is definitely tiring. They can swim off to the edges, which a few of them do. Like I remember Steven is one of them. Denise Richards is one of them. Some people, though, stay in the middle that entire time, and they're just fighting through it. Those are the individuals that you pay attention to, right? Because they're hurting too. They're in pain, and that's something you got to recognize as well. Everybody around you is suffering. It's just about who's willing to put it all on the line for those beside me. In this show, a lot of people give up. Some of them don't even come back to the middle. They're just like, I can't do it. And then this is the go-to that in the show and in the military, you hear a lot. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. You're psyching yourself up. You're having a panic attack, a self-induced panic attack, or in some cases, you just recognize that if I say I can't breathe, there's no way to really prove that, so you're hoping that you get pity bestowed upon you. So what does Steven or Stefan do at the end of episode 1? He gets up, goes to medical, because nobody's going to deny you medical, and in the pool, he had been complaining about breathing issues, and they even asked him when he got to the barracks room, hey, you good, Steven? No, breath. He gets the medical. He starts talking about his shin and his ankle, his knees. My nose was running when I was out there. Everything but his damn breathing. And then he's talking to the doctor, and he starts speaking in a weird way, which I've watched a DJ Vlad interview with him, and I'm seeing now that he just speaks.
Either that or we did some water skiing off the back, baby. I don't know. There's a title for something. Water skiing on the Mayflower.
There we go.
And eventually the guy goes, I need you to do whatever it takes so that I don't get hurt. It almost seems like he's trying to bribe the doctor. Like, yo, tell the DSs that I can't do the next few activities and I'll just kind of hang back. You know what I'm saying? The cadre get wind of it, pull everybody into formation outside, and basically say, yo, some of y'all walking around here like some straight up, I can't say it because I'm trying to keep it PG, but you know what the word is, and we're not going to have it. They call him out in front of everybody. Yo, number blah, blah, blah. Come on up here. Take your badge off. Now they take his badge and he ends up getting kicked out, and there's nothing ceremonial about it. He don't get to hug nobody, kiss nobody. He just puts his ish on and goes. But the next activity, because they go right into the next thing, or they sleep, then the next day, they got to go to this big stone bridge out in the countryside, and they're looking up because the cadre are demonstrating all of the activities before they have to do it. And I think they said something like 135 feet up in the sky. So they looking way up there, necks broke, looking into the sky, where a cadre member is on the other side of the railing of the bridge, and he just steps off and drops 135 feet. He's attached to a bungee cord, and then I don't know if they added. No, I know they added some bump to the sound effects of this bump. But as soon as they hit like that, what is that, like the apex, or that moment where the rope catches them, that sounds like necks and spines snap, and it is violent. Kayla Nicole, who the entire time, she can't even look up at the structure. At one point, she just drops to her knees, and she's like, I can't do this. There's no way I can get up there. So everybody's going through, and she's like the last person that we end up seeing get up on that bridge. And, she's got that moment where they're asking her questions, and then it's time to go. And she goes. Which, again, not only does she go, she passes. When we had several individuals like Golden Tate, who's a wide receiver, who's got a little bit of, he's an odd dude. I'm really surprised that his personality is like this. This just goes to show you don't really know who people are, but he just seems kind of like a want to please everybody type guy. But he goes up there, and he's a physically fit dude, former professional wide receiver, right? In great shape, drops down, then starts to rappel. It seems like he's on his way to getting a pass, but then he starts doing this ish, where as he's rappelling, he's pointing a finger gun into the woods or at people and goes, pew, pew, pew. Of course, the cadre, former British Special Forces guy, looks at that and is like, what the fail? And the next thing is these individuals who are thinking the day is done, day 2. So they take these individuals down to the freezing cold water, and they get wet, which is essentially where you link arms, right? And they have you roll back into the ocean, and you're just doing this over and over and over, and check your watch because you're still doing it over again. One of the things I know for the Navy SEALs and individuals and the Marines that go through this stuff is you'll go do this in the water, and then you'll get up and you'll have to go do some other activities, some other workouts like log PT, right? Which is when they have the big ass, heavy ass logs, and they're doing side ab crunches, or they're lifting up over their head and they're pressing it, or they're just holding it. They're working out, and then guess what? You put that down, and then you go get your ass back in the water. So you're constantly getting back into the cold, running out, getting hot, working out, go back into the water, and it's a miserable time. Luckily, these individuals just have to keep doing the roll back into the water with each other. Denise Richards, if you forgot who the hell that is, that's the individual that everybody thought was really attractive when they were younger. I think at one point they get a clip of her basically putting her hand up, her finger up, and almost telling a cadre member no, whatever it is you're saying to me, I'm not doing it. Which again is so much different than the military, because that ish ain't going down. And they pull her up, and they're like, are you not going back to train? And she's like, it's not that I don't want to, it's that I can't breathe, and I'm freaking out, and blah blah blah, there are a whole bunch of reasons. And the cadre is doing what I would expect a normal cadre member to do. I'm not giving you the sympathy that you're begging for. I can tell that you're used to having people bend your way. You're in the wrong place for that. So you can either go back and train, or what are we gonna do? He never tells her to quit. She just walks off. She's done. She's done with this game. She's still holding on to the old world, celebrity world of I'm a star and I can do what I want, and I'm done playing this game. I'm done playing Army. And she leaves. After getting wet, they end up having to duck crawl through the sand, which again, they do a really good job of showing the pain and the exertion on their faces. You can tell these individuals are truly tired, and this is for real. Which then made me go, okay, if this is truly, when the cameras are off, they're still in this mentality of working them and making them feel like they're truly in the military, then there's gonna come a point, and you don't know when it's gonna happen, where people are gonna start to bond together through the trauma. The individuals that are there are gonna stay there until hell or high water, because it's at a certain point, there's nothing more you can do to these individuals. They've been through it. Not to say that they can't feel more pain, but just that they've recognized mentally what it's going to take to get there, and they've settled and are fine with it, and they will keep pushing forward. And there's something to be said about the brother and sister to your left and right. You have been through so much with them that you're not willing to quit because of them. So as we wind up episode 2, the second person that ends up getting brought in for the interview this episode is the one that has the freak out during the water, falling back from the rollback, which was Jordan. And tell us about yourself. I was an Olympic athlete from age 10, or not. I started in I started as a gymnast at age 10. Became an Olympic athlete, and I retired at 18. And then they asked the obvious question of why did you retire at such a young age? And then the most obvious of responses, I was a victim of one of the most prolific, and she used the word prolific, which I always find in that moment weird to hear out loud, especially with this case. Like, it just feels like such a weird. This moment to me feels a little grubby. It's weird to hear a celebrity on this type of show with really no background. There's been no emotional build up to this character, to this woman, this real person. The show has had an air of superficiality. Again, we don't spend much time amongst the actual contestants as they bond and become real people in our eyes. So when we get to this moment where the drill instructors or the staff just ask her point blank, like, what's the trauma? And she's just like, oh, I was a victim of one of the most prolific sexual assault cases of all time. And I think she's talking about Larry Nassar. I'm almost positive it's Larry Nassar, right? Yeah, the individual former sports doctor accused by hundreds of athletes, including Olympic champions Simone Biles, Ali Raceman, and Michaela Maroney. I think this is the individual who was basically under the guise of treating the young women, sexually molesting all of them, and ended up getting sentenced to prison. She was one of those victims. And like, again, after she reveals this like heartbreaking truth, like just disturbing in any context truth, there's no real insight. At least the editing doesn't give you any real insight. He's just like, keep going, fight, don't give up, guard. And then she gets black bagged and she's out of there. You're just like, what the fuck? What was the point of all that? This episode is episode titled Terror, or the thing that they end up doing is they have a boat, and as the recruits pull up, they see cadre, one on top of the boat, where it's got like a metal grill that you can see down inside the boat, where another cadre member, the former Navy SEAL, is inside. And a crane is moving the boat out over into the water. You've got a certain amount of time to dive into the water, unscrew a bolt, several bolts, I believe, undo some cables, get a box, and swim out of the boat. As you're doing this, the boat continuously sinks. So like, you can come back for air, but that little air pocket is quickly disappearing. So he comes up and he does it perfectly. And now it's time for our celebrities. I think the reason that you end up doing this, right, is all about that mental mindset reset. So many of us go through a life of comfortability, and as we get older, we're less and less likely to want to seek out or interact with fear, which is why some people talk about like, I had to find life again, right? Because if you're waking up, brushing your teeth, showering, go to work, come home, maybe you lift some weights, maybe you play some games, go to sleep, do it again. Nowhere in that routine are you kind of shocking the system, reminding yourself that you're alive. And the only way to really do that is to experience a new thrill or sensation. So this fear that I'm inducing into you in the military perspective is a reset, not to get you on a thrill-seeking, addictive, high adrenaline, whatever quest, but to show you and remind you that on the other side of fear is growth. And if you can do that, if you can stay calm, complete my set of instructions, and come out the other side, then you'll recognize that in that moment of fear, your brain was trying to trick you and make you react in a way that was detrimental to yourself. But once you calmed that brain and became disciplined, every other scenario that fear becomes prevalent, that you face fear, you'll think back to this moment and go, okay, no, I recognize this. I know what this is like. I'm okay. Stay in control, fight through it. So in basic training, one of the things that everybody goes through is the gas chamber, and I'm sure you've seen videos of it. If you haven't, look it up. You file into the gas chamber, and they have set off, I forget what the gas is, but it's almost like really strong pepper spray in this room, very potent stuff. And you go in there with your gas mask, and even with the gas mask, you're going to feel the tickle in your throat. It's going to make you cough. you're gonna feel very uncomfortable. Immediately, fear is gonna kick off, and the only thing that you're gonna want to do is leave this room. And then eventually they'll have you remove your gas mask, and you're gonna get all of that in your nose, in your eyes, in your throat. And they're gonna ask you to recite some stuff. And I mean, the moment they came up to me and asked me to say something, the thing to take away from this though is the fear in your body when your body involuntarily reacts to that smoke and starts just regurgitating everything, and you can't speak and your eyes are watering. Some people are going to try to run out, and all that's going to happen is your ass is going to get tackled or clotheslined by a drill sergeant, and they're going to make you go stand back in that line, and you're going to stay in there longer with your team, and your team is going to hate you because they have to stay longer. The lesson, though, is in that fearful moment, you didn't die. You survived, you could breathe, you could get through these things, but you had to calm your mind. The rest of the individuals that are starting to show the strengths, the Cam Newtons, the Olympic swimmer guy who, what was his name? Let me get these names right. Like, the guy right here, Nathan, he gets through it. Like Christy, Carlson Romana, she gets through it. Golden Tate, he gets through it. I think the only individuals that really fail were Kayla, Golden Tate, but he fails because I think he starts to showboat again. I can't remember what he does exactly, but he does something that he's just a very people-pleasing, like, I want to get everybody all eyes on me type of attention. And he does something dumb again where they fail him for it. And then Kyla Pratt, it looks like she's going to get it because she does this thing where she dives in and she's working at it, and then she comes back up and she seems to have a panic moment where she's like, I want out. And they're like, yo, calm down. You got time. Get back in there. So she goes back in and she can't do it. The fear gets the best of her. Again, it's that little voice in your head that's telling you don't have enough time. You're going to drown. You're going to die. Run, scream, and you give into it. Now, we've already seen Jordan in episode 2. She was in the water, the fallback water, where we had learned that she has something to go on with water. Going to the boat, she had already said that if it's anything to do with water, I'm quitting. This is a dangerous mindset. To be, before you even start the event, saying I'm going to quit if X, Y, and Z, it's going to put you in a negative framework because you're already now working extra hard to overcome your base, which is I want to quit, to get to the point of I'm going to overcome fear. Base, I want to quit. Fear is here. Now you're working the fear. Now you're trying to overcome fear. She doesn't step into the water. She doesn't go. She refuses. She's just like, I can't do it. I won't do it. I think once more the drill sergeant, the staff tries to motivate her. Hey, you can do this. Don't give up on yourself. No, you can already tell that final lever is clicked off on her head where she's like, I can't do this. The drop rate within the first 3 days shows you that, like, there's some truth to what's going on here. People are dropping like flies for all types of reasons. People are lying about why they're dropping. People are medically being dropped. And then people are just literally hitting the mental roadblock of I cannot move forward. But at the end of this episode, we get to one of the clips that I think is going the most viral.
Oh, that's it!
With number one knocked to the ground again, the fight ends.
Go over there. Get up. Get over there.
Before we even get to that, though, you've got a fight between Marion, who we just learned had that traumatic event with the doping scandal, and then Kayla, who her traumatic event is being Travis Kelce's ex. Both of them are like, I'm with it. I've had to fight. I'll fight again. And them girls go right into it, and they start swinging. And I mean, you just got to watch the scene because, like, it's so impressive to me to see celebrities, individuals who come from this privileged life, not be afraid of throwing them fist. Unfortunately, Marion ends up getting hurt in this episode. I think she gets caught in the ribs, which if you're ever taking a rib shot, they effing hurt and they will take you down and you will stop fighting. She gets hit in the ribs and medical has to go look at her. And then Kayla, she goes back and I think she has to fight a few more times and she does her thing. The fight between Cam Newton and our guy, the Olympic athlete, Nathan Adrian, this one was really interesting because they both go in with the mindset of, I'm not afraid of a fight. Granted, Cam is like, yo, I'm from Atlanta. Yo, I'm about this. Nathan, I'm sorry. Oh, his name is Adrian. Nathan Adrian was basically like, I don't really have violence in my life. I've never really messed with violence, but I'm ready to step up to the challenge. And he is not a small dude either. He also looks like he's about the same height as Cam. Stocky dude. Nowhere near as powerful as Cam, though. First time they're going at it. Clearly, Cam's got the upper advantage in just power, overall dominance. Nathan's approaching, he's going at it, but it's just there's no forward momentum in his movement. They're going at each other like dogs, but Cam is clearly, his mindset, the way it looks, is so intent on destroying his partner. For a second, it's like, Nathan, you need to stop and reanalyze what you're doing. You two rams is not what this is. This is a lion going against the hyena, right? Both got some power, both can be dangerous, but the hyena is getting its ass eaten. Cam basically backs his ass all the way up outside the ring, and one girl like collapses because she's like, I thought they were going over the cliff, because they're on a hill overlooking the ocean and like a few feet away from where they end up falling down. Ocean. Kadri brings them back in, says, stop moving forward, swing. So they stand in the middle. They go at it a second time. Again, the just overmatch in power. Not skill, not technique, just power. Cam ends up clocking him right in the nose. Comes up under. I think he just left himself open, and then just Cam just yeet. Nose smashed all up, man. Next thing you know, you got the clip of him bleeding, blood just dripping just steadily. Now, everybody who's been punched in the nose or seen a nose injury knows that the nose bleeds a lot, right? It's not because you got some severe injury. You're not dying. It's just a bleeder. A lot of capillaries and blood going on up there, so you're going to bleed a lot. But the scene looks graphic.
Hold it here. Doing great. Just keep doing that. That's perfect.
So episode four starts off with us meeting Cam and Golden having kind of a personal moment, which I think this show is missing a lot of these personal interactions between people, so that we can just connect with these celebrities a little bit more on a human level and feel for them when they go through these physical activities, and then really feel for them when they're doing these interviews. But you're hearing Golden Tate ask a question that feels the most real of questions being asked on this show. Do you miss playing in the NFL, Cam Newton? Cam says, I miss playing. The preparation, no. Golden Tate responds with, I miss playing, but, and I think this is most important, I miss the camaraderie, the locker room more. Golden, to me, reminds me of a lot of people in the military as well. It's a reason a lot of people have regrets when they leave, and it's a reason why a lot of people stay. Because more so than the benefits and the pay and the things you get to see and experience in the military, the brotherhood, and that includes women as well, I'm just saying brotherhood in the universal term, is probably the greatest strength of the military. I hear professional athletes talk about there's no other place that you can get the camaraderie amongst people like the locker room. I disagree. I've been in locker rooms before. I played high school sports. I know what they're saying, but I've also seen it in things like the Army, and I'm sure you could also experience it in the fire, in firemen and in police officers. Because when you go through traumatic things together, difficult things together, it puts you in a bond that very few people in other positions will ever know. And so when he says that, I related and understood, and I was like, okay, Golden can also take a lot away, and I think he's trying to take a lot away from this Special Forces course, because it is literally, at the end of the day, all about brotherhood, and depending on the person to your left and to your right. Unfortunately for Golden, he's going to learn the hard way that there are a lot of things that can also be exposed when you have to depend on the person to your left and right, because this episode is all about teamwork. So you got your new 4 teams, and they basically have to do the first event, which is to build a boat, take it out into the sea, paddle it up to a buoy, around the buoy, and then back to the beach. Both teams originally do pretty well in building the boat. Golden Tate's team builds their boat first, and they're out on the water first, and it seems like they're on all cylinders and firing, and they should win. However, very quickly it becomes apparent that Golden is completely out of his element. He has no idea what he's doing, and so he becomes very, very quiet. And Cam is being extremely, like, the egotistical Superman that you see on the NFL field. That's the Cam you get talking to Golden Tate. And I mean, Golden Tate is just taking it. He is literally folding within himself. Then he gets reamed by Staff. Staff is basically telling him, you are worthless. You are less than what I thought you were. You completely gave up. Everybody on your team was louder than you would be, and you really showed me something. He looks like a child. Cam and his team are sitting in the bunks. Cam ain't even looking at Golden. He's staring at the wall. Golden is looking down, like afraid to look at his daddy or something. At one point, he says, Cam, what you thinking, man? Like, on some, like, child, like, again, he's got a very people-pleasing type mannerism. You almost start to feel bad for him. Low-key, you start feeling like, yo, like, somebody go hug this man. And you come to find out that, Golden, his biggest thing is, I am leaving the NFL where I knew who I was for the longest time. From 5 years old through college into my adulthood, he's like maybe 30 something or late 20s. That's all I've known. Now on the other side of it, I don't have this anymore. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am, and that's what I'm here for. He withdrew because he says he didn't know what you do on a boat. It was as simple as that. I have no experience with the boat. I have nothing to say. I feel like he felt like if he said something, it was going to give somebody an opportunity to say they got the better of him. And so in fear of that, he reverted to looking less than, even worse than looking incapable. You look like a detriment to your teammates. It's a really tough lesson because when in the military, the one thing you're going to recognize is that you've got to lean in on all your teammates. But you also recognize that all your teammates have different strengths and weaknesses. This isn't just the military. I think this is the world in general, right? For him, and it's unfortunate that we don't get to see if somebody teaches him this or gives him this lesson of just because you don't know what to do on a boat does not mean that you can't still effectively lead. You identify on your team who has the strength, who knows the most about boats. Okay, cool. Tell me what we need to do, and then I'll make sure we get it done. I'll assign the people to the task to make sure we get it done. I'm not ceding my role by using your expertise. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know how to use you. But what you can't do is give up on yourself and then thus give up on your team, because that's worse. That's the ultimate thing, because you're giving up on your brothers and sisters, and like it's almost an act of betrayal. There's no coming back from that, especially in a military context, right? They have another event that day, and again, it's about testing leadership capability. So the leaders of the first challenge get switched out with the two individuals that were picked last. That would be Christy Carlson Romano and Kyla Pratt. So they become the leaders of their team. Both of them have their own fears about this. Kyla, she was already picked very, very last, so she's already feeling some type of way about that. Plus the individuals on her team, like, imagine being on a team that doesn't necessarily want you. I took you because you were the last person left. Then you have Romano on the other side. She also feels like I'm on a team of alpha individuals, you know? And then not to mention that, I just saw one teammate like literally get reamed. Like my whole team hates him, and she doesn't want to rock the boat. She doesn't want to be the problem. So she's trying to figure out what type of leader should I be? And she even brings up Cadet Kelly, which again, if you're an adult man now, I wouldn't watch it. I don't think you would care to watch it. But if you were a kid and you saw that movie, she was a badass.
We have a lot of ground to make up because of you.
It's a good thing we're excellent at this.
Attention!
Man, Cadet Kelly was the ish. Hillary Duff and her, like, they was going at it. So she's trying to figure out, do I need to be that person? How do I get these people to listen to me? So the contestants for the second challenge end up going to this more like mountainous, rocky terrain, and they're basically instructed that they have to move themselves and a bunch of equipment from this base of this mountainside cliff all the way to the top using ropes and pulleys. The females here, they get kind of just a ish task, man, and I've seen it in the actual military where people are put in positions that are difficult when you've got strong-headed individuals, and to be frank, when you have women trying to lead men, right? Like sometimes for some men, they're not ready or willing to listen to a woman tell them anything, and unless that woman does something to prove themselves as capable, not necessarily by strength, but in anything, the men ain't gonna bend. I'm not saying I feel that way personally. I don't care who you are. If you can lead, I'll follow. But this is what I noticed in these two. They were trying to be loud. One thing that they felt Golden Tate did wrong is that he was quiet. Like I said, church mouse, didn't try, gave up. So they weren't going to do that. They were loud and they were trying to motivate their team, but you could also see a lot of pushback. You could see individuals like Cam who weren't listening when Christy was telling him, hey, get up the mountain. He's turning around trying to tell them what to do. He's an alpha dog, alpha personality, big dude, used to be a quarterback in the NFL. Brody was the one that was kind of sidelining Kyla. Brody was the one that was telling individuals where they should be at, telling Kyla, hey, get up the mountain, telling Kyla, like, hey, don't worry about me, I got a thing, and telling other people what they're doing. He didn't give a damn that she was named team leader. He had, for some reason, felt that it was his time to step up, so he tried to step up. But like I said, I think both girls got just a bad rep, because I don't think that they weren't trying to lead. It was just they were put in a position where they weren't being allowed to lead. And mind you, in the military, you're given a lot of time to build these bonds. You know what I'm saying? So you're in school for months at a time, learning each other's strengths and weaknesses, and being more willing and flexible to bend to your teammates to help them, right? Because we win when everybody wins. So it does me no good to override you because your failure would just lead to me getting wet. Not really, because in the Army, you don't get wet. Me doing some runs, maybe. sweating, maybe that's the only wet you'll get, is difficult. I've seen this also in the military. In the first initial days of training, once you've gotten through processing and you're at your actual, unit, and you've begun your training, certain individuals will try to be the hero. And what I mean by the hero is they're trying to all impress. They're coming from an egotistical perspective of what they've seen on television shows and movies. And so they think, hey, when the drill sergeant calls for a leader, I'm going to be the leader. And leading means I'm going to yell at you and you ain't even squared away and you don't know your people and you're just doing what you think the drill sergeants want to see. That can be received very poorly, especially with the group of individuals, right? Because you're at the beginning, you haven't become a team yet. So that's something else I thought was going to be interesting about this show is working together to build the teams, how long it would take to get past that initial, oh, I'm the hero, this looks good for TV. And no, I'm actually trying to help because I actually care. And then that's kind of the wrap up. Show is dropping every Wednesday. I think it drops every Wednesday on Hulu. Either does live on Wednesday. Yeah, no, it drops every Wednesday. Okay, so new episode every Wednesday. So by the time you see this, you got a few more days before episode 5, which gives you plenty of time to watch all 4 episodes. And then by the time you finished all 4, you'll be right ready for episode 5 with me. And we can talk about it in the comment sections below. If you got nothing else to do, the episode's ending. Go check out some of the other gaming videos that we got on the channel. And then the other stand-on business we got on the channel. So many episodes, 41 to be exact. And then just a crap ton of gaming episodes. And another one releasing, I was going to say tomorrow, but probably not tomorrow. But another one's coming. Anyway, I was your host, JLW. I look forward to seeing the next one. Remember, we didn't really have a take on this episode, did we? So it's hard to say stand on something or you'll fall for anything. But damn it, stand on something or you'll fall for anything because that's what we say. All right, bye.
What kind of move is that? It's time to get my freak on!
You're always doing this to me. You ruin everything. Leave me alone.
What?
It's the Wild Wild West and we coming to party. The honey's looking